The Joe Rogan Experience.
That's a bummer, man. The Deontay Wilder stuff that's going on right now. He's released 3 different excuses. The first one was the weight vest, the thing that he was wearing, that crazy costume, weighed 40 pounds apparently, and it wore his legs out. The next one was that there was a bunch of people saying that Tyson Fury's gloves weren't attached correctly, so the gloves were extended. So he was hitting them with the knuckles, and the glove part was not really attached. It was like, so he was catching them like with the part that's supposed to be over the wrist. Not correct, not true, and easily provable. The next one, he said egg weights. He said he had egg weights in his hand. This is recent, like a couple days ago. Then yesterday there was an article that said that he believes that his water was poisoned
by his own trainer.
And Mark Breland was a part of that.
Understand, for folks who may not know who Mark Breland is, former, I think, Olympic gold medalist, world champion across 2 different weight divisions, if I'm not mistaken. He is the voice of sanity, or was, till he was dismissed in that corner. That was the guy that threw the towel for him, Breland should be thanked by Wilder and his camp until the end of time. His other trainer, I forget his last name, starts with a D. He was out there at the post-fight press conference being like, I don't know if I would have thrown that towel. It's like, you fucking yes, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Breland took it upon himself to, I don't know if save the guy's life, but certainly make the right call for halting the contest. He was thanked by being dismissed and now essentially dragged through the mud with utterly, what I'm guessing, are utterly baseless accusations about poisoning his own fighter. Maybe Tyson Fury's fucking awesome. That seems like the simplest explanation for all of this.
Tyson Fury changed his strategy. And also, you have to realize that Tyson Fury in the first fight was coming off of a multiple-year battle with depression, mental illness, drinking, got suicidal thoughts. He talked on my podcast about driving his Ferrari and almost slamming into a bridge. He's like, I was pedal to the metal, and I was thinking about slamming into this bridge. And they changed his mind, and just slowly worked his way into shape, got healthy again, got his mind right again, and pulled it back around. But when he fought Deontay Wilder the first time, his father didn't want him to take the fight. He's like, you're not healthy enough yet. You're not ready yet. And he did his best. He fought well, but it was a draw. By the time they fought the second time, he was in tip-top condition.
Right.
He had gone through the camp for the first fight. His body was completely recovered from all the abuse of alcohol and cocaine and all the shit that he was doing. And then he took on the Kronk trainer, Sugar Hill. And then his whole strategy changed. He's like, the guy does not fight well off the heel, off the back foot. Let's move him back. And Tyson Fury is fucking enormous. He's huge.
6'9".
Yeah, and he came into the fight, I think he was like 280.
Yeah.
And so he just pressed him and just was throwing bombs. And I don't think Deontay Wilder expected that.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder expected him to run and move and jab and fight the same way he fought in the first fight. And instead, Tyson Fury just came right at him and just clipped him hard and often. And I think if you go back to their first fight and you look at how when Tyson Fury got dropped in the 12th, rose like Lazarus, and then came back, survived, and then started winning the round.
Right.
And then I think he realized from that moment on, the way to beat this guy is to back him up.
Right.
And then he took that strategy. Sugar Hill, of course, like Kronk, legendary, aggressive attack. I mean, they're like for people who are MMA fans who love shoot the box, they're like the shoot the box of boxing, right? If you think about it, aggressive, attacking, multiple champions, Gerald McClellan, Tommy Hearns, I mean, the list goes on. And he employed that sort of attacking strategy. And he's a fucking masterful boxer, too.
Right, that's the other part about it. I mean, folks don't realize he can play the defensive game. I think you saw it in the Otto Wallin fight. He's so long and has such good trunk movement. He can actually lean on the ropes, and the punches go in front because he's so tall and long. He can play that game.
Well, the Klitschko fight.
Right, exactly.
Just outboxed Vladimir Klitschko. It was one of the greatest ever.
Wasn't the most thrilling fight. I mean, the Wilder fight was much better, but I did a whole video on it, and too, I was like amazed. From the stance he took, he had a little bit of an A-frame stance, so you could say just away, and he was always a double jab away. So he was long enough where he was outside of anything that Wilder could have put together. He was a real 1-2 kind of guy, or Wilder would just come lunging in with the punch, and he was good enough to back him up and then steer him into punches. And I always talk about this. Eugene Behrman, who is and everyone gets on me because I'm always promoting city kickboxing, but it's like,
he's a masterful trainer.
It's like, well, not only that, I mean, every once in a while you come around to a guy who not only can train fighters to a high degree, but has an idea about what the game is missing and how to fill that gap. And they are big believers in feinting. They make a point. They basically say, like, how is it possible you can have people that come from this little tiny island, and Adesanya is the very best version of that, but like they've got good fighter, Brad Riddell, Shane Young, Dan Hooker. They got a lot of guys, and Volkanovski has trained under Brad, who trained under Eugene. But basically, what they believe is that what has been missing for a long time in MMA striking is effective faking and feinting, and that they do shadow boxing drills for hours just on feinting. No punches thrown, just feinting, just to set it all up. Because they basically say, if you look at the way which a lot of American and even European strikers throw, it's a lot of sit down and throw combinations, which you can do, but they don't really believe that's the best way to do it. The best gap to fill is that. Fury, to circle the point here, is excellent. He is such a brilliant feinter. And he had Deontay Wilder dead to rights over and over and over again, which he didn't really do the first time around. And so, all these excuses about my trainer poisoned me. It's like that's not what the tape shows, bro.
Well, he was making excuses when he got dropped with the first punch. He was like pointing to the back of his head, and he was upset, and you could see it's really weird. It's really weird when you see a guy who's so utterly dominant and who has what Teddy Atlas calls the great eraser. That right hand, because it really is. It erases all your problems. You fucked up a little bit. Watch this. Bang! All your mistakes gone with that. His right hand is a force of nature.
It's one of the best right hands in the history of the
sport. Ever. The Luis Ortiz fight? Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Hit him on the forehead.
Yep.
And Ortiz is down, like, with a look in his face, like, what happened?
And Ortiz is not some chump.
He's huge.
He's a Cuban boxer, who has great pedigree. One shot set his ass down.
And he was winning the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was winning the fight.
And all of a sudden, blap.
If you look at my view on his power is that for straight rights, right, which is really what he basically throws, or maybe a little bit overhandy because it's a little bit looping, that's one of the best, if not the best, right hands in all of boxing. If you're talking about full-on power punchers, though, I don't know that he's got the full repertoire. Like, is his uppercut with his right hand as good as his straight? I don't know that it is. You see a guy like Ernie Shavers.
Right.
Fuck, bro.
Yeah.
Go look up Ernie Shavers highlights on YouTube and then smoke some weed beforehand. You will literally laugh at what he does to men. It's shocking to watch his power. And he has the full repertoire of it,
Yeah, a lot of fighters who fought him said he was the most powerful puncher they ever faced. A lot of fighters.
Someone told me, I forget who it was, but they got hit by Shavers, and then they felt it in the roof of their foot. What's the
arch?
The arch. They felt it in the arch of it, like radiated into the arch of their foot. What the fuck is that? I never heard some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, power's a weird thing, right? Like, you're either born with it or you're not. I mean, I've seen so many guys who you'd look at and they're big and strong, and you would say, "Wow, but that guy hits hard," and they can't crack an egg.
No.
There's a bunch of them. There's always been a bunch of them in boxing. There's been a bunch of them, like, you see them in the gym. And then you see guys like, do you remember Michael McDonald when he was a kid, when he was coming up?
Yes.
Skinny, looks like a little boy, knock people into another dimension. And you're like, whoa, this is crazy. Goes back to the Wilder fight. Like, Wilder, Deontay, before Tyson Fury beat him, had only gone to decision 2 times. Tyson Fury and Dominic Brazil, was that what it was?
Brazil he knocked out in the first round in the rematch. Oh, no, Berman Stavern, right?
That's right, Stavern. Yeah. Stavern was in the first fight. He beat him by decision.
Right.
And so he had been used, and he had gotten so confident. And towards the end of his career, I remember there's a photo of him walking to the fight, or walking through a casino in Vegas. It's an amazing photo. He's wearing a fur coat with an open shirt, holding his wife's hand. And he just looks like the ultimate heavyweight champion in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you see him, like, that is what I want from a heavyweight champion. Just top of the game, just wearing these crazy sunglasses, fully shredded, fur coat, holding his wife's hand. I'm like, that's a heavyweight champion.
Connor has that in his head.
Yeah.
Connor's the heavyweight champion of the world in his head, which I don't like. I'm not bashing him for it. Like, I want that.
That's
you should be resplendent and ignorant and amazing all at once.
See if you can find that photo of Deontay Wilder holding his wife's hand, wearing a fur coat. It's one of my favorite fighter photos, like getting ready for a fight of all time, because it's so just aggressively confident, just and on top of the world.
How do you do that? It's almost like a fuck you to everybody,
Yeah, I mean, he was being the baddest man on the planet.
I don't think I've ever had that kind of self-confidence ever. You know what I mean?
Well, you have to have that to be that guy, right?
Especially when you have he doesn't have the widest skill set. You know what I mean?
Literally came into the game. I mean, I had the privilege of. That's one of them. Is that the one? There's one where he's got no shirt on. Up in the.
Is it for the first or second?
He doesn't have a shirt on. It's just a. Oh, okay. Okay, there it is. Yeah, there it is. That's it. There's a few of those.
He looks like Mr. T with all the chains too.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man.
And you got a white guy getting your luggage, even better.
I'm a fan of his. I really am. And I'm a fan of his as a human being. I really enjoyed talking to him. And he told me a story.
He's a great interview.
He's a great guy. He got into boxing because his daughter was sick. Right. And he was...
Spina bifida, right?
Yeah, he's a delivery guy for, was it Budweiser or something like that? Or Coca-Cola?
Yeah, some liquid.
And he was like, look, I got to make some fucking money. And he knew he wasn't going to be able to play in a college sport or in a professional sport without a college background. So he's like, well, I'm going to get into boxing. A year and a half in, wins a bronze medal in the Olympics.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Just dumb power.
Crazy power. Crazy, like a 1 in a billion human power.
But have you ever seen him interact with his kids? Like, the nobility of trying to do that for your daughter is one thing. He's got like a bunch of kids. He's got like 5 or 6 of them. And I just had a kid about 18 months ago, and I didn't understand it when I would watch. But like, I don't think he's happier than when he's with his children, and there's not even a close second. Like a doting family man. It's really unfortunate he's made these excuses because as a person, he seems like such a sweet guy.
It's a bummer, and I wish someone was there to advise him.
Breland, he was.
Well, I should bring, I don't know, maybe Mark doesn't have the kind of relationship with him that he can call him.
My understanding is his manager, Deontay's manager, was the one who brought in Breland years ago as we need somebody here who's like a high level trainer, and brought him in, and it worked for a time anyway. But here we are.
I talked to Roy Jones about him, and Roy Jones was saying if he trained him, what he would train him is he would concentrate on his left hand. He was like, we already know you can put people to sleep with your right hand. He goes, well, what about your left hand? He goes, I want you to keep people at distance, use the jab, use the hook. He goes, I would concentrate on just working that left hand. He goes, that would fix so many of his problems. Because his left hand is just like, here comes the right, here comes the right, boom. I mean, he'll throw jabs, but you're not terrified of it the way you're terrified of Roy Jones' left hand. Episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience are now free on Spotify. That's right, they're free. From September 1st to December 1st, they're going to be available everywhere. But after December 1st, they will only be available on Spotify, but they will be free. That includes the video. The video will also be there. It'll also be free. That's all we're asking. Just go download Spotify. Much love. Bye-bye.